when I talk to other agencies about this recession is that it's not like previous recessions. Yeah. This is more of a middle-class recession.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at the statistics, I mean, this has been a long recession. Yeah. This is we've, you know, whether or not we've hit the bottom or not, I don't know, but it's been going on for quite a while.
So let's talk about foreclosure. When somebody, could you give us some guidelines about the whole foreclosure process and what folks should do, and warning, warning signals and when they should get involved and things like that?
Well, the first thing people need to realize is there are avenues for help. It's not like you have to just sort of flail around and be victimized. There are ways you can be helped. First things first, if you get any inclination from your lender or the individual who's the owner of the home at the moment that they're going to foreclose, reach out to somebody. Either reach out to the Department of Housing and Community Development. DHCD, the statewide organization, has a list of housing counselors on their website, and if you call their number, I don't have it at the moment, but go to the DHCD website. You could reach out to a housing counselor who could potentially help you. Housing counselors are really the first line of defense.
And they do it for free. Reputable ones.
Yes, they can do it for free, or there are low-cost counselors out there, but Department of Housing and Community Development, the State Department of Housing and Community Development, they have a list of preferred counselors who can help you. Go to a housing counselor first. That's the first thing to do. If you get a notice of intent to foreclose and you feel like maybe an attorney could help you with potentially coming up with a modification to your loan, or maybe cash for keys or a deed in lieu of foreclosure, reach out to us. Call our number. We can potentially provide you with an attorney to help if, of course, you meet the income guidelines. There are ways out there. You can reach out to DHCD. You can reach out to us. You could reach out to Legal Aid Bureau. There are a lot of organizations out there who want to find some way to help the many, many people who are facing foreclosure.
But the first and most important thing is get help.
Get help. Get help. And I just can't understate the importance of the housing counselors. That's huge. We actually have a housing counselor on staff. So if you call us, and if for some reason maybe an attorney isn't the best option for you at the moment, we can transfer you to our housing counselor, and she can give you some help and some advice. And of course, that's going to be free of charge.
Yeah, yeah. And you just don't have to roll over and lose everything in the process.
No, you don't. And I mean, there are avenues. There are ways to get out from under this crippling situation, and it's really about people reaching out, using the internet, going to your library. Call your city council person, your county council person. All the county council offices, all the city council offices, your congressman, your congresswoman, they have our information. They have legal aid information. They have information for Department of Housing and Community Development. If you're not good at using the internet, call them, and they'll direct you. But just don't sit there and not open the letters. Don't ignore the phone calls. Get help.
Yeah,
somebody can help you.
And the sooner the better.
Oh, absolutely.
The sooner the better.
There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've talked to housing counselors, and they said that the first time that you have trouble making your mortgage payment, that's the time to get help.
Absolutely. You do it as quickly as you can. I think too many people, like I was saying before, too many people are just shocked that they're in this situation, and they try to ignore it. They try to get away from it, and they try to hide from it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. Reach out for help.
Pro bono is a term that I think that we should define for folks, because it's an essential part of the way that your organization works. And frankly, it's a way that your organization saves an awful lot of people, including the state.
Oh,
money.
Absolutely. Well, when you really get down to it, it's about attorneys doing legal work for people for free, not having to deal with all the legal fees that sometimes, can break a person financially. And what we have a panel of volunteers of about, I think right now we're at somewhere around the neighborhood of 3,000 or 3,500 different attorneys across the state of Maryland who will take cases for free, pro bono, for low and moderate income individuals. Some of them are, partners at major law firms. Some of them are solo attorneys just starting out, but they're all people who care about making sure that low-income individuals have legal representation. And if you come through our service, we can match you to those people on our panel, and they will help you free of charge.
Wow. And you mentioned that your service has been around 30 years. Mm-hmm. We're in a period of budget cutbacks. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that is been, at least in some quarters, mentioned for reduction is assistance for lawyers and assistance for lawyers for low moderate income folks. And I recently talked to someone about we had a show, one of our neighborhood beat shows on civil rights, on fair housing. Mm-hmm. And the guest gave us some idea about what it was like before civil rights laws were put into place. And I don't really think that folks, when they think about cutting things, realize why things were originally instituted. And they were instituted because of problems. Yeah. Could you give us a little bit of a view of what things were like in this country before we had large-scale assistance for, and I shouldn't even say large-scale, I should say that, because I know that a lot of folks that need legal assistance can't get it, or they can't get it in time because they have to they have to wait in line for services that they can afford.
Well, legal services as a sort of an organized field has been going on for a long time. I believe Legal Society of New York started back in the 1880s or 1890s, and the Maryland Legal Aid Bureau started in about 1913, or actually no, I think 1911. I think it's actually their 100th anniversary this year, Legal Aid Bureau. Wow. But in general, those were sort of the exception to the rule. And only in the last 30, 40 years have we really seen a real focus on making sure that legal services are there for as many low-income people as we could potentially serve. There's a lot of legal service providers in Maryland. There's about between 25 and 30 that have different areas of law that they focus on. For example, there's the Homeless Persons Representation Project that works primarily with the homeless. There are other organizations. Before we had that, from my understanding, the way I see it, is the bottom line is there were just fewer attorneys there to help. People didn't have as much access to the system. Now, there's always gaps. There's always going to be people who fall through the cracks, no matter how many attorneys there are who are willing to help, no matter how much money we put towards the problem. But we're at a point right now where so many people are dependent on legal service providers that to cut that funding is just going to leave these people in worse shape, and it's just going to be worse for us as a community. It's going to be worse for them as individuals and for their family. For every person who doesn't get help, that's a spouse, a child, a friend, an uncle, an aunt, a community that is going to be affected by that. When one person is not getting the help they need, that creates a chain reaction. So cutting cutting the funding helps no one.
Yeah. What should we do? I know that is an awfully broad question, and I need to define that a little bit, especially when I'm talking to a lawyer. But what should be done let's talk about the state level. Aside from maintaining funding, which we really need to do in terms of, as you said, 1,000 calls a week of folks, and it's increasing. It's increasing. The demand is just increasing and increasing. What needs to be done legally to help protect Marylanders more?
Well, I mean, there's a variety of things. I mean, just briefly, because we've been talking about foreclosure, one of the things that we've realized is that the way the process works right now, if an individual is being threatened with foreclosure, they have an option to go to mediation, which basically means they can sit down with an